and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we're going to talk about new thriller film Black Bag. This one stars Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender, and I have to tell you, I walked into this one with some assumptions, and I walked out completely wrong. So for anyone who is not familiar with Black Bag, as I said, Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender are in this. They play a married couple who are also intelligence agents. And it kind of is uncovered that there is a mole within this intelligence agency who has stolen a piece of technology or a device that is capable of causing, pretty substantial harm. And Michael Fassbender is trying to figure out who has done this. And through kind of some clues and some information that he is being fed, he believes that there is a potential that it could be his wife. And so you kind of go through this movie with him trying to suss out really what has happened, trying to eliminate that threat. And this is such an interesting film. When I tell you that I have not sat through a movie that I have been so jazzed about in a really long time. This one is, I think it clocks in at just a little bit over an hour and a half. And at the end of the film, I audibly said, wait, is that it? I was so into it. And all of the movies these days, I feel like are 2.5 hours, 3 hours. They're so long. And there's always moments where I'm like, they could have shortened this. They could have cut some stuff out. Black Bag is not going to do that for you. I enjoyed myself so much in this movie. Like, it was just I love kind of the mystery thriller aspect to it. I loved that I went into it kind of expecting something different. When I walked into Black Bag, because of just sort of how it was set up, I was kind of expecting something maybe a little bit more low key, but something along the lines of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They're both intelligence operatives. The difference here being that they both knew that about one another. And so I sort of figured it would be this like cat and mouse game that they were playing against each other. And that was wrong. And sitting in that film, I think for part way, maybe the first 30 minutes of the movie, I was like, I don't really understand what's happening because a lot of the stuff is like code. There are other, operatives, other people, other agents that are a part of this, intelligence agency that I wasn't quite sure how they fit in or why they were there or why they were such main characters. Like, definitely in this one, Catherine and George, who are Cate and Michael, are definitely like the main characters. They are this strong couple who just happen to be, intelligence operatives. But there are so many other characters, and this is a film that does not have a wide cast. There are not a ton of people in this movie. You don't see very many characters or interact with very many characters in this film. But all of the sort of side characters do have quite a lot of screen time, and they are really vital to what's happening, and they're all sort of connected to one another. But of course, because they're all sort of in this intelligence agency, they're all really good at lying. They're all really good at lying to one another. They're really good at like skipping over polygraphs, for instance. And it's such an interesting story. And it did not waste a single second of that hour, 33-minute runtime. Like, it could have been longer. They could have dragged it out. I feel like it would be completely unnecessary here, but I desired it. That's how good the film was, or how much I enjoyed it. I wanted to see more with these characters. I would definitely be interested in seeing a sequel if they ever did a sequel to Black Bag. I feel like this one, I don't know if I want to say I would put it up on the same level. It's not in any way, shape, or form the same kind of show as Severance. Like, in terms of story, Black Bag and Severance are not the same, but I will say, like, it does the same to my brain. Like, Black Bag definitely made my brain sort of noodle, sort of try and figure out what was going on. It was not a completely obvious plot, which I feel like with such a short runtime, they could have fallen into that, right? They could have fallen into being very formulaic and not really putting that much thought into what was going on in this story and making it pretty simple just to like get to the end of that runtime quickly. And they didn't. And I appreciate that. Not only that, but all of the characters, all of the characters were gorgeous. There was not a single one that I did not like. There's not a single one in here that I would say is not a good actor or actress. I loved everyone that was involved. And I was like, wait a minute, which one is the one that is doing the things and who is the bad guy? Tom Burke is in this. I really love Tom Burke. He plays in CB Strike, which is another UK sort of television show, and I really enjoy him there. And Naomi Harris is in this one. She is stunning in this. She's like the psychologist that you kind of have to go through in order to continue being an intelligence operative. Regé-Jean Page is in this. He left Bridgerton. I don't know if he left Bridgerton for this film, but I am very glad he did. I am not a huge Bridgerton fan. No knock against it, but it just is not one of my shows that I like tune into regularly. I don't think I watched much more than the first couple of episodes of the first season. And so I did not know until going to see this film. I did not know that he had left Bridgerton. But I'm very glad that he did because he did a phenomenal job in this one. Marissa Abella, who is not someone that I am familiar with at all, was in this. And I will have to keep an eye on her stuff and maybe go and look at her filmography and see what else she has done, because I feel like she played this role really well. She's also a very stunning actress. Like, all of them just fit together so well. It's one of the most interesting and believable dynamics of characters that I have seen in a while. And Cate Blanchett, can we just, for a second, stop and talk about Cate Blanchett? She is otherworldly, and whoever styled her for this film did an impeccable job. Like 90% of the time that Cate Blanchett is on the screen in this film, I was just like, God, that woman is freaking gorgeous. Like, it's just so good. The whole way through this film, I feel like the dynamic was done so well that it was so believable to me what was happening in the movie. And there wasn't a time that I was like bored or trying to think like, oh, I've already solved this mystery. Can we be over with? Can this be done? I really was invested and it was just so enjoyable to be there for that film that, like I said, I would definitely watch a second. I would wholeheartedly recommend going to see this one in the theater if you can do so. I feel like this is one that I will definitely watch when it comes out on streaming. It's one that I would buy a physical copy of to have in my collection. I mean, it's one of those that, like, the story was very original in my opinion. All of the acting was great. Like, it's one of those movies that just knew exactly what it was doing. Everyone was there to give it their all and be professional. And boom, you get to the end and it's just a delight. A+, no notes, A+. Loved this film, definitely recommend. So those are my thoughts on Black Bag. I would love to know what you guys thought if you have seen this one. Subscribe to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.